Hello everybody, and welcome to another Revan1207 Discusses. Before I get into the topic for today, make sure you leave a like for the video if you enjoy it, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the topic. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this video for more gaming videos like Let's Plays and reviews and that kind of thing. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is the, I believe it is confirmed Star Wars open world game, which I'm incredibly excited about. I'm just going to be talking about my top 10 things that I want to see. I'm just going to get right into it. So the number 10 thing that I want is new music. One of my favorite things about pretty much Star Wars in general is the music, especially in the games. Like, if you listen to music from Republic Commando, or The Force Unleashed, or Knights of the Old Republic is probably my favorite. It is really good, and I'd really like to see some new music, maybe throw some music from the movies in there or something. I think would be kind of cool. So number 9 is something that I thought was kind of interesting, and it was something that I enjoyed in the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games, which is buying and selling things like equipment and your ships or armor or whatever you have. This would allow you to, well, first off, you could buy new ships, which, if it's open world, and I'm not sure that it's gonna have more than one different world to explore, but for example, if it is, then you could take your ship and go to that world, or the different worlds, and I think it would be pretty cool to have your own ships and be able to go inside it and travel around and look at it and stuff. And then, you know, buying armor and weapons is probably something that you probably want to do. It would just kind of give it more of that realistic kind of feeling to it, I guess. The 8th thing I have on my list is an interesting and detailed story. One thing that I really enjoy about most anything Star Wars, like the music, is the story. You know, I like the stories in the movies, I like the stories in the games and the books and everything, and most of the time they're actually pretty good. I personally feel like the last video game of Star Wars that we had with a really good story. I'm not going to count the Old Republic because I haven't played it, but I'm sure it's pretty good since it's the Old Republic and I love the Old Republic era. The last game that came out that I thought had a good story was The Force Unleashed, which came out back in 2008. So it's been almost 7 years. Then again, we haven't really had very many Star Wars games come out since then. The last one I can really think of is either the Old Republic or the Force Unleashed 2. But, you know, soon enough we're going to be getting, you know, the RPG that I believe is confirmed, but I'm not completely sure about that. I did another video on that if you want to go see my thoughts on that. And then the open world game, and then Star Wars Battlefront, which Star Wars Battlefront I don't really think the story is incredibly necessary. So I think for the RPG and the open world game to have good stories, I think that would be pretty good. The 7th thing that I want to see are some RPG elements, such as side quests or dialogue choices, sort of things you saw in Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic. I just feel like it's a bit more immersive for me if I have dialogue choices, because then, you know, you could choose what your character says and it could potentially change the direction of the plot. Like, in Knights of the Old Republic, if you made a dark side dialogue choice, you'd lean more towards the dark side. If you made a light side sort of choice, then you would lean more towards the light side. So I think that would be kind of interesting to have something like that in this game. And the side quests, well, if it's open world, I mean, honestly, you're gonna want something to do other than the main story, or just run around. You'd have a few other things that you could do. 6th thing that I want to see is single player. I think would be kind of interesting if it had like a multiplayer in it, but I want it to be mostly single player focused, just because I just personally prefer single player, you know, because sometimes the internet isn't so reliable. I would just prefer for it to be single player, I guess. That would probably fit more towards the 10 or 9 spot, but I just put it at number 6 because that's something that I actually do really want. So number 5, I have lots of species or classes. This is again sort of where RPG elements sort of come in, I guess. Sort of like in Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic, you could, well, not really in Knights of the Old Republic, but in the Old Republic you could choose like your species and then your class. You could do that in Knights of the Old Republic also. So you could have maybe 5 different species, maybe more. You could have like humans or Rhodians or Twi'leks or, I don't know, Wookiees, whatever you want. And then you could have different classes, so you could be like a smuggler or a bounty hunter or a Jedi or really whatever you want, I guess. I think that would be pretty interesting to do. Number 4 on my list is lots of worlds. Usually when I get an open world game, I think I want it to either have a good size map or lots of different ones. So something like the Knights of the Old Republic games they had several different worlds, and each world was pretty good size for the most part. The only one I can think of that wasn't was probably the Yavin station in Knights of the Old Republic 1, which is kind of expected since it's pretty much just a merchant. But it's still something that I like to see. You could see a lot of diversity. Like you could go to Tatooine, and then you could go to Coruscant, and then you could go to like Kashyyyk or something like that. I think would be pretty cool. Number 3 on my list is large maps. This kind of coincides with number 4 with lots of worlds. If it has lots of worlds, I'd like them map to be sort of not small, but it doesn't have to be incredibly huge either. But if it was just like 1 or 2 worlds, then I'd want them to have pretty big maps, I guess. I think that would be really cool to, like, if you were, say, on Coruscant, it would work to have a big map because, well, for one, Coruscant is pretty much just one big, huge city. So you could go and see, like, the Jedi Temple and the Senate building, whatever it's called. You could go to, like, Dexter's Diner and, you know, get Jawa juice or something like that. So I think that would be pretty cool. So number 2, this is sort of works with Star Wars Episode 7 coming out pretty soon, and that is to join the Rebels or the Empire. I pretty much, I thought about having it during the Clone Wars or the Old Republic era, but I thought, you know, we should, as much as I'd love to see Old Republic era, if we were to see an Old Republic game, that should probably be the RPG, not the open world game. I mean, RPG could have open world elements in it, kind of like the Knights of the Old Republic games. I think that the open world game would be pretty interesting to get kind of either maybe like during the movies or after the movies, sort of like a little bit before or during Star Wars Episode 7 maybe. Maybe we could get sort of a Star Wars 1313, which, for those of you who don't know, got cancelled. It was a third-person shooter that was you were supposed to play as Boba Fett on Coruscant on level 1313 of Coruscant. And I think if you could join the Rebels or Empire, or if you could just sort of be a neutral, like if you were a bounty hunter like Boba Fett, you could take jobs, kind of work both sides, I guess, I don't know. But I think that would be kind of interesting. You could join the Rebel Alliance, or you could like become someone in the Empire and kind of do that sort of thing. So my number 1 choice, out of all the things that I chose, this is pretty much the thing that I want to see the most, other than like the top 4 are like the things that I want the most, which is the lots of worlds, large maps, join Rebels or Empire. But I think number 1 is something that I really, really want to see, and that's to have the game set between Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope. And that's because we haven't really seen a whole lot between those periods. I mean, we've got some books, we've got a couple of video games like The Force Unleashed took place, I think, 1 or 2 years before Star Wars Episode 4. But we haven't really seen all that much like it could kind of take place halfway. I think Star Wars Episode 3 happened 19 years before Episode 4, so maybe we could see something like 10 years before, or something like that. I think would be pretty cool. And that period with the Empire being in power is not explored all that much, which I think is kind of sad, because I think it's a really interesting thing that you could see sort of like this kind of works into the large maps and lost at worlds. Maybe if you were on Tatooine and you could go look through the Dune Sea and you could find Obi-Wan Kenobi because it was between episodes 3 and 4. I think that would be cool. You could like go and see child Luke Skywalker or something. I think those would be pretty cool to see. And the only reason why I want this is because I think it's a really interesting period and it hasn't really been explored much, so the people making the games could kind of, they would have to keep with the sort of the plot of Star Wars. They couldn't like go completely nuts with it like they could with, say, the Old Republic era. They couldn't just do whatever they want, they'd have to keep with it, but I think they could still kind of make their own sort of story between the movies. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more gaming videos, let's plays and reviews, and more topic videos. And leave your thoughts on this in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.